The bloody handprint stood out stark and crimson against the pristine transparency of the quantum glass window. Below it, 3 miles of space station stretched out into the void, its gleaming spires and habitation rings testament to the Galactic Council's power and influence. Security Chief Vexthor stared at the print, his 4 eyes blinking in rapid succession, a sign of extreme distress in his species. "How long?" he demanded, mandibles clicking. "Ambassador Mitchell's last security check-in was 47 minutes ago," responded Lieutenant Kira Tilan, her bioluminescent skin pulsing with anxiety patterns. The cameras went dark 43 seconds before the estimated time of death. It's like they knew exactly when and where to strike. Inside Ambassador Catherine Mitchell's office, the scene told a story of desperate struggle. The normally immaculate space was in disarray. A carved Jovian crystal paperweight lay shattered near the door, and a holographic display unit sparked fitfully, its projection matrix cracked. Mitchell's body lay crumpled behind her antique earth oak desk, one hand still clutching a data crystal, her other stretched toward the window in what had been a final, desperate plea for help. "Seal the station," Vexthor ordered, his voice carrying the weight of 20 years of security experience. "No ships leave without." "Sir," Tilan interrupted, her skin flashing urgent patterns. 3 diplomatic vessels have already departed in the last 30 minutes, a Krathuri warship, a Medusan trading vessel, and, she hesitated, a council member's personal transport. Vexthor's upper appendages twitched involuntarily. "Which council member?" "High Chancellor Zixtal, sir." The security chief's exoskeleton seemed to pale. High Chancellor Zixtal was the head of the Technology Regulation Committee, the very group Ambassador Mitchell had been negotiating with regarding humanity's request to share their medical nanite technology with younger species. "The humans will want answers," Tilan said softly, her bioluminescence dimming to almost nothing. "They're not like the other younger races. They won't accept diplomatic evasions or ritual apologies." As if summoning her words into reality, every screen in the office suddenly flickered to life, displaying the same message. "Priority 1 transmission. Earth Diplomatic Corps." Before Vexthor could respond, the main screen filled with the face of Earth's Foreign Secretary, Helena Warren. Her expression was carved from stone, her eyes blazing with barely contained fury. "Security Chief Vexthor," she said, her voice arctic. "I've just been informed that Ambassador Mitchell's vital sign implant went dark." "Explain." Vexthor felt his secondary heart begin to race. "Madam Secretary, we are still gathering information. I assure you, a full investigation." "Catherine Mitchell was one of our finest diplomats," Warren cut him off. "She spent 6 years building bridges between humanity and the Council. Now she's dead on your station, in what was supposed to be the most secure diplomatic sector in the galaxy." She leaned forward, filling the screen. "We're sending Special Investigator Marcus Rodriguez. He will have full access to everything. Records, witnesses, security systems, everything. Am I clear?" "The Council protocols for such incidents," Vexthor began. "The Council's protocols just got one of humanity's most respected diplomats killed." Warren's voice could have frozen a star. "You have 6 hours to prepare for Investigator Rodriguez's arrival. After that, if we detect any attempt to obstruct his investigation, any attempt to hide or alter evidence, the Terran fleet will consider it an act of war." The transmission cut off. In the sudden silence, Tilan's skin rippled with colors of fear. "Sir, I'm detecting massive power surges from the human sector of the station. Their quantum communications array is activating." Vexthor moved to the window, staring out at the vast expanse of space. Somewhere out there, humanity's ships were already moving, preparing for the worst. He placed one appendage against the quantum glass, next to Mitchell's bloody handprint. "Contact the Council," he said quietly. Tell them the humans know how to fight a war. but we never learned how to fight humans. Special Investigator Marcus Rodriguez stepped off the shuttle onto Harmonious Unity Station, his boots making a deliberate click against the polished floor. He wore a simple black suit that did nothing to hide the military-grade sidearm at his hip. The assembled council security detail shifted uncomfortably. Humans weren't supposed to bring weapons into the diplomatic sector. "The firearm stays," Rodriguez said before anyone could object, his voice carrying the kind of authority that made even alien species straighten their postures. Article 7 of the Emergency Diplomatic Protocols. Check it. Lieutenant Deland's skin flickered through shades of embarrassment as she consulted her datapad. "He's correct, Chief Vexthor. In cases of diplomatic personnel death, human investigators are permitted to retain personal defense weapons." Rodriguez didn't wait for further discussion. He strode past them toward Mitchell's office, his dark eyes taking in every detail. The station's AI tried to direct him with floating holographic arrows, but he disabled them with a casual wave of his wrist-mounted computer. "You know where you're going?" Vexthor asked, hurrying to keep pace. "I memorized the station's layout on the flight here." Rodriguez stopped suddenly, turning to face the security chief. Along with the duty roster, maintenance schedules, and ship departure logs for the past week, Ambassador Mitchell sent 17 encrypted reports to Earth in her last month here. Want to guess what they were about? Before Vexthor could respond, Rodriguez's wrist computer chimed. The investigator's expression darkened as he read the message. "Well," he said quietly, "it seems the Terran fleet just detected unusual energy signatures from 3 supposedly dormant weapons platforms near the Kratheri border. Funny timing." Thlan's bioluminescence pulsed with alarm patterns. "The Council declared those platforms decommissioned cycles ago." "The Council declares a lot of things, Lieutenant." Rodriguez resumed walking. "Just like they declared Catherine's death an unfortunate accident barely an hour after finding her body." They reached Mitchell's office. The bloody handprint remained, though cleanup drones hovered nearby, awaiting authorization to erase this evidence of violence from the pristine station. Rodriguez walked straight to Mitchell's desk, ignoring the holographic crime scene markers. "Her personal AI core is missing," he stated, not asked. Vexthor's mandibles clicked rapidly. "Impossible. We sealed the scene immediately." Rodriguez ran his hand along the underside of the desk, then held up a single silver fiber. "This is from a council executor's ceremonial glove. High-grade stuff, worn only by 13 individuals in the entire galaxy." He let the fiber fall. 12. Now that Chancellor Zixel's ship suffered that tragic reactor malfunction an hour ago, Thlan's skin went almost white. The High Chancellor is dead, along with any evidence he might have provided. Rodriguez activated a hologram from his wrist computer, displaying a complex series of financial transactions. These transfers were logged minutes after Mitchell's death. 2 billion credits, routed through shell companies on 17 worlds. Someone's paying to clean up loose ends. A deep rumble shook the station. Warning lights flashed as distant defense platforms activated. "Sir," a junior security officer burst in. "Multiple ships just emerged from hyperspace. They're Terran warships." Rodriguez smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "That would be the 7th Fleet beginning their routine exercises. Don't worry, they're just practicing emergency response scenarios. All perfectly legal under Article 12 of the Military Cooperation Treaty." He turned back to the window, staring at the bloody handprint. "You know what most species get wrong about humans, Chief Vexthor. They think we're aggressive because we advanced so quickly, developed such powerful weapons." He placed his own hand against the glass, matching Mitchell's print. "But they got it backwards. We developed powerful weapons because we're aggressive. Because somewhere deep in our DNA, we remember what it means to be both predator and prey." His wrist computer chimed again. "Looks like the Kratheri ambassador is requesting an immediate meeting." "Interesting." Rodriguez headed for the door, then paused. "One last thing." Catherine's last words. "My God, you're all in on it." She wasn't speaking English. What? Tilan's confusion showed in rippling colors. She was speaking Krathuri High Tongue, a dialect only taught to their most honored allies. Rodriguez's voice carried the weight of certainty. This game is a lot bigger than anyone thought. The Krathuri ambassador's chambers were a study in controlled savagery. Ancient weapons lined walls of polished bone, and the air carried the spiced scent of ritual incense. Ambassador Kthak stood nearly 9 feet tall, his scaled armor bearing the marks of 100 battles. Yet when he bowed to Rodriguez, it was with genuine respect. The humans have a saying. Kthak's translator rendered his guttural speech into smooth English. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. But what happens, investigator, when your friend and your enemy wear the same face? Rodriguez studied a nearby weapon display. You knew Catherine well enough to teach her high tongue. That's not something your people do lightly. No. Kthak's moved to a holographic display, his claws dancing across the controls. Just as your people don't lightly hide world-killer technology in what appears to be a diplomatic shuttle. The air between them, filled with classified schematics, the true capabilities of humanity's supposedly primitive ships. Kthak's continued. We've known for years that humans were far more advanced than you appeared. It's why certain council members feared you. But Catherine, his warrior's composure cracked slightly. She showed us you could also be trusted. The neurotoxin that killed her, Rodriguez said quietly. It was Krathuri, but not quite right. Like someone copied it from old data. Precisely. Kthak's eyes gleamed. Data stolen from our secure archives 3 cycles ago. We thought it was common data pirates. Now, he gestured, and the hologram changed to display complex financial records. These transfers trace back to holding companies owned by council members, the same ones who opposed sharing medical technology with younger species. Rodriguez's wrist computer chimed urgently. He checked it, his expression hardening. They just found Tilan dead in her quarters, made to look like suicide. She discovered something, Kthak growled. Yeah. The station's logs. Someone used High Chancellor Zixtel's codes to access restricted areas, but the biometric data doesn't match his species. Rodriguez pulled up his own hologram, overlaying it with Kthak's. They're using the Technology Regulation Committee to suppress advancement while selling restricted tech on the black market. But that's just the surface. The merged holograms revealed a pattern spanning centuries. Manufactured conflicts, orchestrated technological setbacks, species played against each other, all controlled by a select group within the council. A distant explosion rocked the station. Emergency sirens wailed. That would be the cleanup crew, Kthak said grimly. They know we're close. Rodriguez's hand moved to his sidearm. How many? Enough to overwhelm station security. But they don't know about my honor guard. Kthak bared his teeth in what might have been a smile. 20 of my finest warriors, all coincidentally visiting their ambassador during this diplomatic crisis. The chamber's doors hissed open. 3 figures in stealth suits materialized, weapons raised. Before they could fire, Kthak moved with shocking speed for his size, his ceremonial armor proving decidedly functional as it deflected their shots. Rodriguez dropped and rolled, his simple sidearm punching through their advanced shields with technologies that weren't supposed to exist. Catherine's private AI, Rodriguez said, checking the fallen assassins. Where did she hide it? Kthak keyed a secret panel, revealing a small crystal matrix. She knew they were coming for her. Said humans had a gift for surviving against overwhelming odds. He handed the crystal to Rodriguez. The full evidence is here. Genetic manipulation of council members, controlled technological regression, even biological weapons tested on developing worlds. All to maintain power. More explosions echoed through the station. Rodriguez's computer showed multiple hostile forces converging on their position. My warriors will hold them off, Kthak declared, donning his battle helmet. Complete Catherine's work. Show them why humans are feared not for their weapons, but for their relentless pursuit of truth. Rodriguez nodded, secreting the crystal away. The Terran fleet's real positions will be exactly where they need to be. Thax clasped Rodriguez's shoulder with a clawed hand. Catherine taught us that honor knows no species. Today, the Kratheri stand with humanity. The station shook again as Rodriguez headed for the secret exit. Behind him, he heard Cathax roar orders in high tongue, followed by the battle cries of warriors who had chosen their side in the coming storm. The game was rigged, but humanity had never played by the rules anyway. The council chamber erupted in chaos as Rodriguez strode through the grand doors, Cathax's honor guard flanking him. The vast circular room, designed to showcase the council's power, now became an arena. Hundreds of representatives from across the galaxy watched as the human investigator walked straight to the central podium, ignoring the security forces training weapons on him. "This emergency session is not recognized," began High Counselor Venra, her crystalline form pulsing with angry lights. "The human has no authority." Article 15.3 of the Charter. Rodriguez's voice cut through the chamber. "Any species may present evidence of crimes against galactic civilization. I'm presenting." He placed Catherine's eye crystal into the podium's reader. The chamber's massive holographic displays flickered to life. Catherine Mitchell's face appeared, composed but urgent, recorded hours before her death. "If you're seeing this," her image began, "I'm already dead. But death doesn't erase truth. And the truth is this. The Galactic Council isn't maintaining peace. It's enforcing stagnation." Security forces moved to shut down the transmission. Thax's warriors smoothly intercepted them, plasma weapons humming with barely contained energy. Catherine's recording continued, displaying document after document. Genetic manipulation of council members ensuring loyalty. Orchestrated conflicts to keep species divided. Biological weapons tested on developing worlds, all to maintain power through controlled technological regression. Lies. Venra's crystalline form shattered and reformed in agitation. This human fabrication was verified by Kratheri Honor Code, Cathax rumbled, and by my own eyes as I watched Council-sanctioned assassins murder Lieutenant Tulan for discovering a fraction of it. The chamber erupted again as Catherine's image showed surveillance footage of Tulan's murder, along with financial records linking it directly to council members. Representatives from younger species began shouting accusations at their elder counterparts. Rodriguez held up his hand, and surprisingly, the chamber quieted. "There's more." Ambassador Mitchell discovered something else. Something worse. He typed a command into the podium. New data filled the displays. Ancient records, encrypted transmissions, energy signatures that made several council members visibly recoil. "By the first light," whispered a Medusan representative. "Those patterns, they're impossible." "Not impossible," Rodriguez corrected. "Hidden. The same energy signature appears in classified council facilities across the galaxy. Facilities that, officially, don't exist." Catherine's image returned, her expression grave. "They're using technology from the precursors, the species that vanished 10,000 years ago, using it to maintain their power, keep other species dependent, but they don't fully understand what they're dealing with." Suddenly, the chamber's lights flickered. Emergency sirens blared. Multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace announced the station's eye. Energy signatures match restricted council vessels. "Dead man switch," Rodriguez announced calmly as council members began to panic. Catherine knew they'd try to silence her, so she set up a data burst to every major species homeworld. "Everything we just saw. The whole galaxy is seeing it now." The chamber's viewport showed space filling with ships, council enforcement vessels, but also Kratheri warships and human destroyers that had shed their diplomatic disguises. "You'll start a war," Venra warned, her crystalline form pulsing rapidly. "No," Rodriguez countered. "We're ending one. A war you've been waging against progress itself." He turned to address the chamber. "Humanity doesn't want to rule the galaxy. We just want to ensure no one can rule it against their will." The station shuddered as the first shots were fired in space. On the displays, Catherine's final message played. To those who killed me, you thought fear would keep species in line, but you forgot something crucial about humanity. We don't fear the dark. We turn on the lights. Rodriguez's wrist computer chimed with a message from the Terran fleet. Operation Daybreak NITIA. Around the galaxy, carefully hidden human ships emerged from stealth, positioning themselves near secret council facilities. The Kratheri fleet moved in perfect coordination, their centuries of warrior tradition combining with human tactical innovation. The powder K had ignited, but this explosion wouldn't destroy the galaxy. It would illuminate it. The first antimatter blast took out 3 levels of Harmonious Unity Station, turning reinforced quantum glass and neosteel into superheated plasma. Emergency containment fields snapped into place as chunks of the station's diplomatic sector vaporized. Rodriguez woke up under a pile of debris, his civilian suit's hidden shield technology having absorbed the worst of the blast. Through ringing ears, he heard Cathac's roaring orders in high tongue. Organizing survivors. Status. Rodriguez barked into his wrist computer. Multiple council dreadnoughts engaging Terran and Kratheri forces. The AI responded. Civilian evacuation at 47%. Station structural integrity at 31% and falling. Sir, they're targeting the civilian sectors. Rodriguez pulled himself up, wiping blood from his face. The council chamber had become a war zone. Several representatives lay dead or injured, while others were being evacuated by their security teams. Through the damaged viewport, he watched energy weapons tear space apart. They're desperate, Cathax growled, helping the wounded Medusan delegate. They'd rather destroy the station than lose control. A massive human warship decloaked directly in front of the viewport, its advanced shields absorbing fire meant for the civilian docks. The ship's designation flashed across Rodriguez's computer. TFS, Humanity's Pride. This is Admiral Chen. A voice cut through all communications channels. To all civilian vessels. Head for coordinates being transmitted now. The Terran fleet will cover your withdrawal. A pause. To the Council forces. Your next shot at a civilian target will be your last action in this universe. The threat carried weight. Everyone had just seen the classified files revealing humanity's true military capabilities. The Council fleet hesitated. Rodriguez's computer chimed with an encrypted message from Earth Command. Phase 2 authorize. Get down. Rodriguez shouted, pulling Cathax and nearby survivors away from the viewport. Across the galaxy, hundreds of quantum nodes activated simultaneously. Technology humanity had secretly installed over years of routine maintenance visits. Council military networks crashed as viral code that Catherine had designed unfolded, targeting only ships that had fired on civilian vessels. Multiple Council ships experiencing critical system failures. The station AI reported. Unknown cyber weapon detected. No match in archived databases. Catherine's last gift, Rodriguez muttered, remembering her words about humans turning on lights. She didn't just gather evidence. She gave us a way to fight back. The station shuddered again as more council ships arrived. But they weren't alone. Ships from dozens of younger species jumped in, their designs clearly incorporating banned technology they'd hidden from council oversight. The revolution spreads, Cathax observed, mandibles clicking in satisfaction. Rodriguez's computer flagged an urgent signal. Deep in the station's restricted sectors, energy readings matched those from Catherine's files, precursor technology activating. They're getting desperate enough to use it, Rodriguez realized, even though they don't understand it. The station's lights flickered as something ancient began powering up. Through the damaged viewport, space itself seemed to ripple. All ships, emergency jump. Admiral Chen's voice carried real fear now. They're activating some kind of. Reality twisted. Every AI in range went silent. Rodriguez's enhanced senses screamed warnings as fundamental forces began to warp. Then, impossibly, the effect stopped. On Rodriguez's computer, a final message from Catherine's eye appeared. Precursor failsafe protocols engage. Administrative override. Ambassador Catherine Mitchell, authorization granted by genetic markers in blood sample. Shutdown sequence initiated. The ancient power signature died. In the sudden silence, Rodriguez laughed. She knew, he said quietly. She knew they'd try to use it. Left her blood on the window on purpose, knowing the precursor tech would recognize human DNA as authorized users. How? Cathax demanded. Because humanity didn't just develop fast, Rodriguez explained, watching council ships power down as their stolen technology failed. We're not just younger versions of the elder species. We're something else. Something the precursors recognized. His computer reactivated, showing tactical data. Across the galaxy, secret council facilities were going dark as ancient technology recognized new masters. The storm had broken, but the real revelations were just beginning. Through the chaos of battle, Rodriguez thought he could almost hear Catherine's voice. Turn on all the lights. Every single one. The Terran fleet moved like a choreographed dance of destruction, appearing simultaneously above 20 corrupt council members' homeworlds. The TSS Humanity's Pride led the assault on the Centauri system, home of High Counselor Venra's crystal-formed species. Final warning. Admiral Chen's voice echoed across all frequencies. Power down your orbital defenses and surrender those responsible for Ambassador Mitchell's murder. You have 5 minutes. In Harmonious Unity's damaged command center, Rodriguez watched tactical displays light up as council forces scrambled to respond. Next to him, Cathax coordinated with his fleet, Kratheri warships moving to cut off potential escape routes. Incoming transmission. The station's AI announced. Origin. Council secure bunker, level 47. High Counselor Venra's image appeared, her crystalline form fracturing and reforming with barely contained rage. You primitives dare threaten us. We uplifted you from your dirt world. We gave you the stars. Rodriguez kept his voice calm. No, Counselor, you held us back, just like you held back every species that showed too much promise. He gestured to a nearby display showing the positions of human ships. Notice anything strange about our fleet formations. Venra's form stilled as she analyzed the tactical data. Her color shifted to what Rodriguez recognized as fear. Impossible, she whispered. Those formations, they're a perfect match for precursor battle tactics, Rodriguez finished. From their seal of archives that you thought no one could access. Turns out Ambassador Mitchell's DNA didn't just give her admin access. It gave her everything. The tactical displays suddenly blazed with new signatures as Kratheri forces launched their strikes. Hidden council infrastructure across 17 systems went dark as precisely targeted weapons found weaknesses that shouldn't have been known to exist. The precursors didn't vanish, Rodriguez continued. They seated themselves across the galaxy, waiting for their genetic markers to resurface naturally. Humanity isn't just another young species. We're their descendants. And you killed one of us. Venra's image shattered and reformed rapidly. If that's true, the technology we've been using was never yours to control. Rodriguez checked his watch. Time's up, Counselor. Across 20 systems, the Terran fleet opened fire, but not with conventional weapons. Beams of coherent energy reached out, touching orbital defense platforms and military installations. Instead of destruction, they simply went dark. Clean shutdown protocols, Rodriguez explained to the stunned council leader. Written into the base code of every piece of precursor tech, accessible only to those with the right genetic key. He allowed himself a small smile. Catherine's last gift to humanity wasn't just evidence of your crimes. It was our inheritance. An aide rushed into view behind Venra, their colors showing panic. More displays lit up as hidden council facilities began broadcasting their locations, security systems recognizing new masters. Sir, Thax called out, multiple council ships are powering down. Their crews, they're surrendering. The tactical displays told the story. Without their stolen technology, without their secret weapons, The corrupt council members' power was evaporating. Centuries of careful manipulation and control were unraveling in minutes. Rodriguez's wrist computer chimed with a priority message. The partial DNA sequence recovered from Catherine's blood sample had found matches in population databases across human space. Thousands of matches. We're not alone, he realized. There are more of us. Humans carrying active precursor genetic markers, each one a potential key to more of our inheritance. Through the command center's viewport, he watched as council ships either surrendered or fled, their greatest weapons reduced to dead metal by the very ancestors they had tried to steal from. The Krathuri fleet moved with surgical precision, centuries of warrior tradition combining perfectly with their new allies' recovered knowledge. What happens now? Cathax asked, watching his warriors secure another deck of the station. Rodriguez looked at the tactical display, where more ships from younger species were arriving every minute, drawn by Catherine's broadcast truth. Now, he said softly, now we fulfill the Precursor's last directive. We protect the galaxy's right to grow, to advance, to reach its full potential. He paused. And we make sure no one can ever use our inheritance to enslave others again. The first strikes had been launched, but this wasn't just a military victory. It was evolution, coming full circle. The ethery matriarch floated in her chamber of living light, her ethereal form rippling as she addressed the emergency gathering of species representatives. 3 days had passed since the Terran fleet's synchronized strike, and the galaxy was still reeling from the revelations. For 10,000 cycles, her thoughts resonated directly in their minds. We believe the precursors vanished. Instead, they became the humans. Not through conquest or technological uplift, but through evolution itself. Rodriguez stood at the chamber center, Catherine's recovered ag crystal projecting its final data streams. The crystal had contained more than evidence of council corruption. It held the complete genetic history of humanity's link to the precursors. Ambassador Mitchell found the truth in the DNA itself, he explained. The precursors didn't die out. They dispersed their genetic code across thousands of worlds, letting natural selection and evolution reshape their essence. They became us. Not copies, not clones, but something new. Something that could see their mistakes and choose a different path. The chamber's displays showed genetic markers lighting up across human population data. Each marker corresponded to different aspects of precursor technology, different pieces of the cosmic puzzle they had left behind. But why? Asked a young Medusan delegate. Why trust their legacy to such an uncertain process? Because they learned from their failures, Thax answered, his warrior's voice carrying unexpected wisdom. They saw how direct power corrupts, how controlled advancement leads to stagnation. They chose to let their knowledge be reborn through natural evolution, through a species that would earn its way to the stars. Suddenly, every display in the chamber flickered. A new presence made itself known, the last safeguarded message from the precursors themselves, unlocked by Catherine's sacrifice. A figure appeared, neither wholly alien nor human, but something in between. When it spoke, its words carried the weight of millennia. To our children of chance and choice, if you are seeing this, you have discovered your heritage not through conquest or theft, but through the very qualities we hoped evolution would preserve. You have shown the capacity to advance while maintaining empathy, to gain power while understanding its cost. The message continued, revealing how the precursors had seen their own civilization stagnating under the weight of absolute power, how they had chosen to scatter their essence across the galaxy, trusting that natural selection would preserve their best qualities while allowing for new strengths to emerge. Human unpredictability, Rodriguez mused. Our capacity for both creation and destruction. Our drive to explore coupled with our ability to empathize. These weren't flaws in the precursor plan. They were the point. The Aethery Matriarch's form pulsed with understanding. And now we must reform. Not because of human weapons or precursor technology, but because evolution itself demands it. Representatives from younger species stepped forward, presenting evidence of innovations they had hidden from council oversight. Medical breakthroughs, clean energy systems, advances in neural integration. All developed in secret, all now freely offered to the galaxy. The Council didn't just suppress our technology, a Medusan scientist explained. They suppressed our potential, our drive to grow, to solve problems, to overcome challenges. Kthax placed a ceremonial weapon on the chamber's central platform. The Kratheri offer our strength not for war, but for protection. Let the warrior's path serve evolution's cause. More species came forward, each offering their unique strengths to a new galactic order. Not one of controlled progress, but of guided cooperation. A great reform was beginning. Rodriguez's wrist computer chimed one final time. Catherine's eye had found something else in the precursor data. Coordinates to research facilities hidden in dimensional gaps, waiting for humanity to mature enough to find them. We're not meant to rule, he announced to the chamber. We're meant to protect. To ensure every species has the right to reach their full potential, to face their own challenges, to evolve in their own way. The Aetheri matriarch's form brightened. Then let us begin. Not as rulers and subjects, but as fellow travelers on evolution's path. As the chamber erupted in discussion and planning, Rodriguez looked at the genetic data still streaming from Catherine's crystal. She had died to bring this truth to light, but her death had illuminated a path forward. The Great Reform wasn't just political. It was evolutionary. And evolution, as humanity had proven, was unstoppable. 1 year after Catherine Mitchell's death, the Harmonious Unity Station had been rebuilt, not as a symbol of council authority, but as a testament to galactic cooperation. Its quantum blast windows now bore an eternal hologram of her bloody handprint, transformed into a constellation of stars, each point marking a world freed from suppression. Rodriguez stood in the new Grand Assembly chamber, watching representatives from hundreds of species work together. The station's AI, now upgraded with recovered precursor protocols, managed thousands of simultaneous translations as species shared their previously hidden innovations. Hard to believe it's only been a year, Kthax rumbled beside him. The Kratheri warrior wore ceremonial armor bearing both his people's ancient symbols and the new mark of the Galactic Protection Force, a combined human and Kratheri initiative. Catherine would have loved this, Rodriguez replied, gesturing to a group of young species scientists excitedly discussing their latest breakthrough. No more artificial barriers, no more controlled progress. The chamber's main display showed real-time updates from across the galaxy. Precursor facilities, awakened by human genetic keys, were being carefully studied by mixed species research teams. The Kratheri provided security, their warrior culture finding new purpose in protecting scientific advancement. Incoming priority message, Rodriguez's wrist computer announced. Source: Deep Space Exploration Vessel Mitchell's Legacy. The message opened to show a human Medusan crew, their excitement palpable even across light years. They'd found another precursor cache, this one containing data on dimensional engineering that exceeded even the most optimistic predictions. We're not just finding technology, the Medusan chief scientist explained. We're finding their wisdom, their warnings, their hopes for us. Each discovery comes with guidance on responsible use. Kthax clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. They trusted evolution to create worthy inheritors, not just of their power, but of their understanding. The station's lights dimmed briefly as a massive ship dropped out of hyperspace. The Humanity's Pride had been redesigned, now serving as a mobile research platform. Its crew represented 30 different species, all working to understand and safely implement recovered technologies. Admiral Chen's image appeared on the command display. The last holdouts from the old council have been located. They're hiding in the outer rim, trying to rebuild their power base. And, Rodriguez asked, though he already knew the answer. Local species asked for assistance. A joint human Kratheri task force is en route. Peaceful resolution preferred, but Chen's expression hardened. We won't let anyone rebuild those chains. The display shifted to show the latest genetic survey results. More humans with active precursor markers were being identified daily, each one adding new pieces to the ancient puzzle. But equally important were the innovations coming from younger species, freed from artificial constraints. Ambassador Mitchell's personal effects are ready for transfer, the station AI announced. Rodriguez nodded, following Kithax to a small, quiet chamber. Catherine's office had been preserved, transformed into a memorial. Her personal log's final entry played softly. To those who follow, we didn't evolve to rule. We evolved to protect, to understand, to ensure that every species has the chance to reach for the stars in their own way, at their own pace. The precursors chose evolution's path because they understood a fundamental truth. True power isn't about control. It's about potential. Kithax placed a Kratheri honor blade on her desk, its surface inscribed with her name in high tongue. She taught us that strength and wisdom aren't opposing forces. She taught us all that, Rodriguez agreed, looking out at the stars. Distant construction lights marked where new research stations were being built. Ships of all species moved freely between them, sharing knowledge, solving problems together. The bloody handprint that had marked the beginning of this change was gone, but its echo remained in the new symbol of the reformed galaxy. A human hand and a Kratheri claw joined together, reaching for the stars. Catherine Mitchell's murder had been meant to suppress the truth. Instead, it had become the catalyst for a new age of discovery and cooperation. Not through conquest or control, but through the very force that had shaped humanity from precursor genes, evolution itself. The new dawn hadn't just brought light, it had brought understanding. And understanding, as both humans and precursors knew, was the greatest power of all.